Hi again, everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I want to thank you for tuning in, and I really hope that you enjoyed this video. So, in the previous video, guys, we went through taxation. So, we looked at the tax forms, different types of tax forms. So, if you haven't watched that, please do so. I'll leave a link in the description box, and it should appear on the top and right of this video. Right. So, today we'll be looking at tariff system. Right. So, basically, going into this is part of the finance chapter, and we'll specifically focus on water tariffs. Right, I will do other tariffs in the following videos. I'm just avoiding this video to be long. I don't want it to be too long. It can be really exhausting to watch a video of an hour or an hour and a half, and so I really want to avoid doing that. So I'll make shorter videos from now on. So let's then take a look at this. Hi again, everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Andrew Ngomane, and I make videos on the CAPS curriculum. If you haven't watched my videos, you should get them in this channel. So I've made a couple of playlists, and in each playlist you have each subject. And since it's still term 1, you'll find only videos of term 1, right? So in the previous video, guys, we looked at taxation. So we discussed the different types of tax forms, looked at tax tables, or the tax terminology that you need to know. We even performed a lot of activities there. So if you haven't watched that video, please go into this channel and you will find all that you need. So I've just organized each and every subject into a particular playlist, right? So if you get into the Mathlead playlist, you'll find all the videos that we've done on the Mathlead term 1, okay, which is still finance, right? So now let's take a look at today's video. So it will be based on the tariff system, particularly the water tariffs, right? So when it comes to tariff, guys, tariffs are simply charges. So these are fees, okay? This is a fee that is charged to consumers for the use of a service, okay? So there's a lot of services that we use, like your water, electricity, your telephone. There's a lot more that we use, and so um, these facilities or institutions use these calculations that we are going to perform to calculate the total costs of the services that we had used. Okay, so for water tariffs, guys, we use what we call a tariff table, right? So we use a tariff table, so that goes for water and also electricity. We have what we call a tariff table. So a tariff table simply looks something like this, right? As you can see, it has columns. So in some water tables, you'd find in some water tariff tables, you'll find that there's a step column, there's a volume or amount of water used column, and in some of them they can be level 4. You can have levels, different types of levels, and generally as you go up in levels, the tariffs even increase. So there are more charges that are charged, or there are more fees that are charged to consumers. Okay, so this would happen. Let's say instead, if the supply of water decreases, like when it is drought, and so the water level, or yes, the water levels will increase to higher levels, which means that there's going to be more charges. This encourages consumers to use less water so that we can counteract the excessive water use. Okay, so you'd find it like this, and you'd also find that the tariff table is based or is charged according to a sliding scale. So a sliding scale, guys, it simply says that the more water you use, then the higher your cost that you will pay. So if you use more water, there's going to be more fees that you're going to pay. Okay, so that is what we call a sliding scale. We even used this in the previous lesson, which was taxation. So looking at tax tables, they are based on sliding scale, which means that the more income that you earn, the more taxes that you're going to pay. Okay, so it's very similar to tax tables. Okay, now what we see here, let's just describe what we see in these water tables, water tariff tables. I mean, so we see rows. Okay, so there will be rows or intervals. Okay, we call them intervals, and each interval will have its own charge, its own fee or its own tariff. Okay, so this is the interval from 0 to 6 kiloliters. So if you've used an amount of between 0 to 6 kiloliters in that particular month, then they will calculate your water cost using this tariff if we are on level 4, or this tariff if we are on level 6. Okay, so on and so on. So it really comes down, guys, to the amount of water that you have used. Okay, because you can, let's say you can use up, let's say if you've used 7 kiloliters of water, let's say you used 7 kiloliters, right? So if you've used 7 kiloliters, then we will use step 1 and step 2, right? So we use both of these. If you have used 7, that means that you have used the maximum amount of water in this column. I mean in this step 1. Okay, you've used this 6 kiloliters that you have there, and you've used one other kiloliter. Okay. Okay, let me just zoom in here. I'm finding it difficult to write. Okay, so then that means that you've used 1 kiloliter here. So that's 6 plus 1. Okay, that makes up 7 kiloliters. So it has to add up, right? So when you're adding up, you have to ensure that the water that this person has used, we also have to ensure that the numbers that we write over here add up to that particular water that is used. So you don't have to worry about everything now. All that I've just said, I'm just trying to introduce this to you guys. Right, so that is the water tariff rates, or the water tariff table. So that is what it looks like. And of course, as you can see, as you go from step 1 going towards step 6, the tariffs or the fees increase. Okay, so they go up. So that's why we say that they are based on a sliding scale. Okay, right. So now the most important thing here when it comes to the water tariffs, everyone wants to know how to calculate the total water costs. Okay, because it really comes down to that. Because other questions, they will ask you about information that you see here. So that is you being able to analyze. So it's you being able to interpret a table. Okay, so but most marks really come from um, having to calculate, or most questions that have a lot of weight in terms of marks are based on water costs, the water total costs, right? So you have to be able to calculate the total cost of the water that is used, right? So that's what we are going to be focusing on this video. And in the following videos in the future, will look at the different types of questions, the most common questions, so on and so on. Right. So let's just get into it, guys. I don't want to waste any time. So now, what do you use? Okay. So how do you calculate the total cost? Right. Now, the first thing that you do, okay, is that you have to calculate the maximum amount of kiloliter in each interval by subtracting the start point from the end point, right? So let's say, so what we mean by that is that let's say in step 1, we have a volume of water from 0 kiloliters all the way to 6 kiloliters, and so that's a difference of 6 kiloliters, right? So you can just say 6 kiloliter minus 0, right? And so that's going to get you 6, right? And then 10 minus 6, that's going to give you 4 kiloliters. So this is the maximum amount of water that is used in each and every one of these individual intervals. Okay, 20 minus 10 is going to be 10 kiloliters, right? So on and so on. Okay, 35 minus 20, that's 15 kiloliters, right? So you can use this, okay, as a start, but it also really depends on the question as well. Because if the question says, let's say, this person has used an amount of 15 kiloliters in this particular month, right? So they've used 15 kiloliters, and so the first thing that you do is that you perform the same calculations, okay? So that's 6 minus 0, which is 6, okay? You perform the same calculations until you reach 15 kiloliters, right? So this is 6 for now, 6 kiloliters, so we haven't reached 15, right? And then in the second interval, we have a maximum amount of 10 minus 6 kiloliters, which is 4 kiloliters, okay? Right? Then 6 plus 4, have we reached 15 yet? So that's still 10. So we haven't reached 15, so it's still 10 kiloliters, right? And so we head on to the next interval. So the next interval, that's going to be 10 minus 20. 10 minus 20, that's going to be 10 kiloliters, right? Now we check again. 6 plus 4, okay, plus 4 plus 10. That's actually going to give us 20 kiloliters, which is more than what we actually need, right? And so you ask yourself, how many kiloliters do we need? Okay, so that means it's more than what we need right here. So that means we have to reduce that amount to until it reaches the 15 kiloliters. So we have 6 plus 4, that's 10. How many left do we need in order to reach the mentioned water use? So we need only 5, right? So we need only 5 kiloliters. So, and then we write 5 kiloliters, right? So it's very important that you first read the question before you perform these, before you write um, down these, right? So at 6 kiloliters in the first um, step, which is the maximum amount of kiloliters that you will find there. And the second step, the maximum is 4 kiloliters, and actually we haven't reached the 15, and so that's why we have written the 4, so that makes up 10. And in the third, because the third has a maximum amount of 10 kiloliters, but we only need 5 kiloliters, and so we write what we need. Okay, so that means that we will calculate using these 3 steps. Okay, and these are going to be vital, guys, right? So the 6 kiloliter, the 4 kiloliter, and the 5 kiloliter, you're going to use them in your calculations. Okay, and you calculate dividing each or calculating each charge or each total cost from each interval. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So you've used 15 kiloliters of water. So how much is the total cost that you're going to have to pay, right? So let's say we are charging according to level 4, right? Okay, charging, they will tell you whether they are charging according to level 4 or level 6, right? Let's say you're charging according to level 4, right? Now for level 4, so start with step 1. Okay, start with step 1, calculate its cost. Step 2, calculate its cost. Step 3, calculate its cost, and then add all of those individual costs to get the total cost that we need. Okay, right. And so So we'll say step one. Okay, so for step one, we actually have 6 kiloliters of water that was used. Okay, and then what do? We multiply that water use, or that volume of water, by, okay, by the tariff of that particular interval. Okay, in this case, the tariff of step one is 4 rands 65 cents. Okay, so we calculate, so we multiply that with 4 rands, okay, 65 cents, and then we get the the cost. Okay, so saying that 6, okay, 6 multiplying that with 4.65, right, and then we get 27. Okay, so that's 27.9 rands. Okay, so let me write down the rands there. Okay, it's 27.9 rands. Okay, so this is, it's not the total cost yet, but it's the cost for the first interval, right? Remember, we still have to reach the third interval, or the third step. So that is for step one. And then for step two, in step two, we used the maximum amount there as well, which is 4 kiloliters. Okay, so we've used 4 kiloliters, and we multiply that 4 kiloliters with the intervals tariff. In this case, it is 17 rands 75 cents, right? And then what do we get then? So we just calculate this individually. So that's 4 multiplied by 17.75, and that is going to be 71 rands, right? And then what do we have next? We have step 3. Okay, but in step 3 we did not use the maximum amount. We only used 5 kiloliters, right? And so we are going to write 5 kiloliters for step 3. It's very important. That's very important, guys, because I see that a lot of students really always use the maximum amount of water in each interval, which is incorrect. These have to add up to the total volume of water that was used. Okay, so you have to ensure that these add up to the total water use. Please do so. Right, so in step 3, we have 5 kiloliters of water that we used there. We did not use the maximum amount of water there. And then step 3's tariff is 25 rands 97 cents, right? Then do we do next? Of course, put that into calculation. So we multiply 5, so it's 5 times 25.97, and then we get 129 rands 85 cents, right? Okay, now what do we do? Okay, so what we do now, we add these all together. Okay, so these individual costs, we add them all together in order to find, or to get, the total cost. So that means the total cost of what, or this person is, total cost that this person is going to pay is going to be that 27 rands 90 cents, okay, plus 71 rands plus 129.85 cents, right? So that's the total cost, right? And so now we just basically just going to add this all up together, right? So we're adding 27.9 plus 71 rands plus 129.85 85 cents, right? Then we get to a total of 228 minus 228 rands 75 cents, right? So that is our total cost there for a water use of 15 kiloliters. So I'm sure you guys now do get it. So this is how we do it, guys, all the time. This is how we do it. It's not going to change. Okay, it's how we do it every time, right? Okay, so let's then move on. Okay, let's move on to the questions that we have here. Okay, so I'm not going. I just want to ensure that we just do everything and make you aware of the types of questions that you will get in this topic of water tariffs. Okay, so we'll also do another activity as well. Okay, so now question number one. Okay, so we are given, of course, this table, excuse me, which has water tariff rates on a sliding scale, and then the first question says, what is the tariff on level 4? Okay, so on level 4, specific on level 4, in this level. So we're only looking at this, focusing on this column. So tariff on level 4, if a household used an amount of water that is above 20 kiloliters up to 35 kiloliters, which is step 4. So that means step 4 in level 4. So we're looking for the tariff there. So the tariff, as you can see, guys, there we go. Okay, so that's the tariff, 43 rands 69 cents. Okay, so that's what we write down. So we write it down then. So it's 43. Okay, let me change that. So it's 43 rands and 69 cents, right? So we just took that from this table. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. The next question says, in which step or interval will you pay 52 rands 44 cents on level 6? Okay, so they're asking us which interval. Okay, so we have to either choose one of these, step 1, step 2, or step or we can use one of these. So we can just copy one of these intervals there. So we're looking for an interval in which you will pay 52 rands 44 cents on level 6. So this is level 6, so we're focusing only on level 6. Okay, so on level 6, which interval? So there we go. So it has to be, there we go, the second interval, guys, right? Or step 2, or you can write above 6 kiloliters to 10 kiloliters, or just say step 2, right? So there we go. This is the interval in which you will pay this amount of tariff. Okay, so let's write that down then. So saying that this is in step 2. Okay, so you can write step 2, or you can say above 6 kiloliters up to, okay, so to 10 kiloliters, right? So that's what we are writing down there. Okay, right, so that is our answer for question 2. Let's move on to the third question. So they say, calculate the VAT exclusive tariff of step 1 of level 6. Okay, the VAT exclusive tariff of step 1. Okay, so which one is step 1 of level 6? So we're looking to write or to calculate the VAT exclusive of this 29 rands 93 cents, right? So this is on level 6, first step, that is 29 rands 93 cents. So if you really looked closely, you'll find out that these tariffs are actually including VAT. So they already have the value added tax And so now we just need to write the value that is excluding the tax. Okay, so in other words, we basically just have to remove that value added tax. Okay, so guys, a simple way to do this. So if you want to, let's say, so when you want to include, okay, so when you want to include value added tax to an amount or to a price or to the cost that of course hasn't been charged VAT yet, what you do is that you take that cost and you multiply that cost by 1.15. Okay, so this is the same as multiplying it by 115 over 100. Okay, so that's the same thing. So of course it will depend on the VAT. So if the VAT is 16%, then you multiply by 1.16, okay, so on and so on, or multiply by 116 over 100. Okay, so it really depends on the amount of value-added tax. Okay, so that is when you want to include tax, okay, or when you want to calculate a VAT inclusive, okay, so VAT inclusive price. And then when in this case we want to exclude VAT, okay, so you want to calculate a VAT exclusive cost or tariff in this case. So what do? We take that amount and we divide, okay, you divide by 1.15, right, in this case. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take that 29 rands, so we're going to say 29 rands 93 cents, okay, and then we are going to divide that by 1.15, okay, 1.15, right, and then we get the value, um, the VAT exclusive amount, I mean. Okay, so we go back to our calculator and we say, okay, let's do that. Okay, so we say 29.93, 29.93, divide that by 1.15. Boom, there we go. So that's 26. If we're going to round it to two decimal places, which is usually the case, so it's 26.03, right? So this goes up by 1 because the following decimal number is actually above 5, okay, above 4. So that means that's going to be 26.03, right? So that's what we're going to write that down. Okay, so it's 26 rands. So without the tax, it would have been 26 rands and 3 cents, guys. There we go. Right. Let's move on to the next question. Next question says use the table. Okay, you're using the table to calculate the amount a household will have to pay on level 4 for consuming 15 kiloliters. Right, so level 4 for consuming 15 kiloliters. Well, I think we've already done that, right? So, yeah. So when we were calculating, actually, when we were using this example, so using this example, in step when I was using this example, so I actually, yeah, so we actually calculated this question 4, and we found out it's actually 228.75. So yeah, okay, so that is number 4 there. Okay, so we've already calculated that one, so let's move on to the next one, so which is number 5. So number 5, so I'm just going to erase this, okay, and let's move on to number 5. Number 5 says use the table again to calculate the amount a household will have to pay on level 6 for consuming 23 kiloliters. Right, so that means what we're calculating the total cost for consuming 23 kiloliters of water on level 6. So let's move on to level 6. Okay, this is where we're going to focus, and then 23 kiloliters. So let's first calculate, or actually count up to this 23 kiloliters, okay, from step 1. So in step 1 we have a maximum amount of water that is 6 kiloliters, okay, right? So that is on step 1, that's the maximum. So we'll count again, guys, until we reach 23 kiloliters, right? And then step 2, 10 minus 6, that's a maximum amount of 4 kiloliters. So we're taking all of that, 4 kiloliters. Step 3, so that makes up 10 so far, 10 kiloliters so far. So step 3, that's 3 minus 10, that makes up 10. So we have a maximum amount of 10 kiloliters, and we actually haven't reached 23. So we are taking that whole 10 kiloliters. And so far, how much have we got? So that's 6 plus 4, that's 10, plus 10, that's 20. So how much are we left with? We are left with 3, right? So that means that on the 4th step or 4th interval, we're actually just taking 3 kiloliters there out of, what's the maximum here? Out of 15 kiloliters, right? So we're just taking 3 kiloliters, okay? So after we've done the first step, we're done with this, and then now we just basically have to multiply these amounts with their respective tariffs. Okay, so on level 6. So let's do that right now. So saying that, okay, so for step 1, we'll actually have, so for step 1 we have 6 kiloliter. Okay, I'm going to multiply 6. Okay, multiply 6 kiloliters, we multiply that with 29.93, right? So that's 29.93. Okay, right, and what do we get? Okay, so that's for step 1. So we go back to our calculator, saying 6 kiloliter, multiply that by 29.93. So multiply that with 29.93 or 93 cents. Then we get 179.58, 179 rands 58 cents. Okay, let's write that down, 179.58 cents, right? Then for step 2, let's move on to the next step. Right, let's calculate the cost there. So we have 4 kilo. We've taken 4 kiloliters there, and we're going to multiply that 4 kiloliters, of course, with the respective tariff, which is 52 rands 44 cents. So it's 4 kiloliters multiplied by 52 rands 44 cents, right? There we go, 44 cents. And then let's put that into a calculator again. So taking 4 kiloliters and multiplying with 52 rands 44 cents. There we get 209 rands 76 cents. So answer there is 209 rands 76 cents. Good. Right, let's move on to the next step, which is step 3. Okay. So again, guys, please be careful when you are actually determining the amount of water that you're taking in each interval, because if you get this part wrong, then everything is going to be wrong. Okay, right? So for step 3 we have 10 kiloliters of water that we've taken there, which is the maximum, and we're going to multiply 10 kiloliters by 114 rands. So taking 10 kiloliters and we're multiplying it with 114 rands. Okay, what do we get? So let's go back to our calculator. Taking 10, multiply by that by 114, and then we get 1140. So it's 1140 rands for step 3, right? Okay, do we have another step? There we go. We do have the last step, which is step 4. So for step 4, how many have we taken here? We've actually taken only 3 kiloliters. Okay, so going to say 3 kiloliters multiplied by the respective or corresponding tariff. Okay, so level 6, that is 134 rands. Okay, so multiply that by 134 rands. Okay, so what do we get? So 3 times 134. Okay, so 134, that's 402 rands. So we'll write that down, 402 rands. Right, so the next step now is to basically just add all of these together. We'll add that plus that plus that plus that. Okay, so that's what we're going to do in order to get our total cost. So let's write that down. Okay, ensure that you write down all of your calculations. Okay, so we're taking 179 rands 58 cents. Okay, let's do that again. 58 cents plus 209 rands 76 cents. Okay, plus 1140 plus 402. Right, so go back to our calculator and perform this calculation. So taking saying 179 rands 58 cents plus 209 rands and 76 cents plus 1140 plus 402. So there we go, plus 402. There we go. So our final answer should be 1,931 rands and 34 cents. So 1,931 cents and 31 rand 34 cents. So that's our total cost of the water use, 23 kiloliters. Right, so that is our answer for number 5. And so let's move on to the next question. Next question says calculate. Okay, so let's calculate how much more. How much more, guys? So how much more usually refers to, or usually mean that in our calculations, at some point we'll have to subtract, okay, two values, right? So how much more a household will pay on level 6 compared to level 4 for consuming 37 kiloliters, right? So how much more a household will pay on level 6 compared to level 4? So we definitely know that on level 6 they will pay more than that of level 4, but we just want to know the difference, how much difference there is. Okay, in what they will pay. They will be paying. Okay. So for consuming 37 kiloliters, so now you have to think about the approach after reading a question. Think about how are you going to calculate it. So if we can maybe start with level 4, calculate the total cost for consuming 37 kiloliters on level 4 separately, and then calculate the total cost for consuming 37 kiloliters on level 6, and then subtract those values at the end. That's how we'll get how much more they are paying on level 6 compared to level 4. So let's do that, guys. I'm just going to erase this, erase that, so that we focus on 37 kiloliters, right? So let's first create a space here. So we'll have okay, we'll have level 4, and okay, so let's move this further actually. So this will be level 4 and this will be level 6. Okay, so carry out calculations on level 4 here and carry out calculations on level 6 right here. Okay, so let's focus on level 4 then. Okay, right, so we are counting up to 37 kiloliters. So let's start and focusing on this level, right? Because you can make mistakes, guys. Okay, especially when you know that you're running against the time. So on step 1 we have a total amount of 6 kiloliters, and we are taking that. Remember, we are counting until we reach 37. Step 2, we are taking all of that. That's 4 kiloliters. So we have 10 so far. Step 3, we are taking 10. Yes, the maximum amount there as well. So we have 20 so far. On step 4, 35 minus 20, that is 15, right? So if we would take 15, okay, so that's 6, that's 4, that's 10, that's 20. So 20 plus 15, that makes up 35. So we still haven't reached 37. So we are actually going to take the maximum here as well, so which is 15 kiloliters. And then, so that's 10 plus 10, that's 20, that's 15, that's 35. So how much more are we left with? We're left with 2 kiloliters. So on step 5, we're taking just 2 kiloliters, right? So there we go. So now that we've done that, let's just carry out the calculations then. So okay, so for step 1, okay, so I think I'm just going to copy out calculations, guys, because we have these calculations. So for an example here on question 4, step 1, we know that it's 6 multiplied by that 4.65. Okay, multiplied by 4.65, and we actually got an answer 27.9. Okay, 27 rands 90 cents. Okay, and then step 2, it's 4 kiloliters, right? And we multiplied that by 17.75, right? Let's confirm that. There we go, 17.75, and we got 71. So 17.75, and we got 71 rands. Okay, step 3, we have to calculate on our own. Okay, because we did not take the maximum here. So step 3 is going to be 10 times 25.97. So it's 10 kiloliters, multiply that with 25.97. So 10 kiloliters multiplied by 25.97, right? And what do we get? So let's put that in calculation to a calculator. So it's 10 times 25.97. There we go. It's 259.7. So that's what we write down. 259.70 cents. Then step 4, we have 15 kiloliters of water, and we're going to multiply that by 43.69. Okay, so that's 15 kiloliters of water, and we multiply that by 43 rands 69 cents into our calculator. Right, so say 15 multiplied by 43 rands 69 cents. We get 655. So that's 655 rands and 35 cents. Okay, we head on to our last step, okay, which I'm pretty sure say that it is 2. So it's 2 times 113.99. Okay, so 2 times 113.99. Right, there we go. So again, go back to our calculator. 2 times 113.99, get 227.98 cents. Okay, 98 cents. Right, and then now we're just basically going to add all of these up together and get our final answer there for level 4. Should be level 4. Made a mistake there. Let's just write level 4 there, and this should be level 6 there. That's fine. Level 6. Right. So let's add then. So we're adding 27.9. Okay, so that's 27.90 cents plus 71 rands plus 259.7 plus 655.35 plus 227.98. So plus 227.98. There we go. Okay, there we go. So that's 1,242 rands 13 cents. So 1,000. So that's our total there. 1,242 13 cents. Okay, so that's our total cost for level 4. Let's move on to level 6. Okay, so for level 6, let's erase that. Okay, erase that again. So for level 6, it's the same amount of water, we just changing the tariffs. Okay, so let's just do that. So we're just focusing on this column now, right? In question 5, we actually calculated 23 kiloliters, and so we'll take only the total amount. So we'll take step 1, step 2, step 3, okay, except for step 4. So let's just do that. Okay, so I'll just copy all of this, step 1, step 2, and step 3, right? Copy that. Okay, there we go, there it is. So we're just going to take this these calculations, right? And yeah, and we're just going to continue on from there. So that is step 3. So move on to step 4. Okay, which is 15. We'll multiply 15 kiloliters with 134 grams. So 15. So that's going to be step 4. Step 4 is going to be 15 kiloliters. Multiply that by 134 grams. Right. Right. Let's just make sure that the correct thing is 134. So into our calculator, so it's going to be 15 multiplied by 134. Then we get 2010 rands. Okay, so it's 2010 rands. Right. Let's move on to step 5 then. Okay, so step 5 will have to be 2 kiloliters, multiply that by 912. So it will be 2 times 912. Let's write that down. 2 kiloliters multiplied by 912. Right. And then what do we get? Okay. Times 912. 1824. Okay. So that is for step 5. So we are done carrying out our calculations for level 6. All we have to do is to just add these individual costs there. So we are adding 179 rands 58 cents plus 209 rands 76 cents plus 1140 rands plus 2010 rands plus 1824 rands. Okay, right. So let's add all of that together. So to our calculator, right? So we have 179 9.58, right? And then 209.76, adding 209.76 plus 1140 plus 2010 plus 1824. Okay, so that's 1824. Boom. Okay, so that's 5363. So as you can see, that's a difference there. So on level 6, you're definitely going to pay much more, way much more than what you would pay on level 3, on level 4. I mean 3.34. Okay, so our next step now is to just find the difference between these two values. Okay, so that's how you figure out how much more you are paying on level 6 than on level 4. So now our final answer now. Okay, so we're going to take 5,363 rands 34 cents subtract 1,242 rands 13 cents. Okay, and what do we get from there? Okay, so let's do that. So it's 5,363 34 cents minus 1,242 rands 13 cents. Right, then there we go. So the difference is 4,121. Okay, so that's a huge difference. 121 rands 21 cents. So that's our final answer there, guys. Okay,